Females in our society have been fighting to have a voice for generations. We've come a long way, but still have a long way to go. Women are still only earning 81 cents for every dollar as compared to her male counterpart. Now let's take a deeper look. Factor in girls and young women in underserved communities and from marginalized populations dealing with poverty, racism, and violence, among other inequities. Consider their opportunities or lack thereof. Welcome to Small and Gutsy, a podcast featuring interviews with nonprofit and social impact organizations under $10 million. My name is Laura Witkoff, and I'm excited and proud to be your host. My hope is that you love the stories as much as we do, and perhaps you will find needed services, a job, volunteer, invest in, or donate. Feel free to pass along any valuable information you hear today to others, and remember to send me the name of any organization you'd like featured at reachus@theintrinsicgroup.com. Betty Lamar conceived EmpowHer Institute out of her own personal journey that took her from pregnant teen at her high school graduation and welfare mom to college graduate and corporate executive. After a stellar career in corporate America, Betty relocated to South Africa to lead a Black-owned business and create jobs for Black South Africans. Upon returning to Los Angeles, Betty and a small group of women dedicated to making a difference in the lives of disadvantaged girls and women formally established EmpowHer Institute in 2003. EmpowHer is the only gender-responsive organization in Los Angeles County that provides a social-emotional learning course during the school day in middle and high schools. Their programs serve to support girls in developing the necessary skills to boldly break ceilings, embrace their voices, engage in social justice, and end generational cycles of poverty. Their mission is to empower girls and young women in marginalized communities, helping them gain the skills through education, training, and mentorship to become confident, college, and career ready. Since its inception, EmpowHer Institute has positively impacted the lives of nearly 3,500 Hispanic and African American girls. I am so very excited to welcome my guest today, seasoned professional and well-known podcaster in her own right, Executive Director Dawn Brown, who came on board with EmpowHer Institute in October 2020. Welcome, Dawn. I'm so happy to have you here. I can't wait to learn more about EmpowHer Institute and some of the programs you offer and what you've all been able to do over the years and continue to do.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. I feel like you did the overview. You did my job. You already shared who we are. We have actually served over 4,000 girls. Last year, we served 537. We are growing as an organization, but you are correct. I did come on to EmpowHer in October. Betty retired after 17 years of leadership in December of 2020. And so I officially took the reins as the CEO in January.
Fantastic. Congratulations. And thank you for correcting me. Super interesting that during COVID, you were still able to serve a significant number of young women. How were you able to do that during COVID?
Our fiscal year is the same as a calendar year. And so we are actually already had girls significantly enrolled before COVID hit. So, that played a big impact on how we were able to serve those girls. And I want to be really honest about that. And we definitely were truly impacted. We are a small nonprofit. Our budget at the time was under $500,000 for the year. So, small nonprofits were truly impacted. And then to be an organization, a small nonprofit in LA County, that serves girls made it even harder. And we took the summer to really try to figure out how to do this virtual online thing. So in the new school year, starting in September of 2020, we came back and we've been virtual ever since. Now, what I will say is that while the girls have been greatly impacted, they were dealing with all kinds of emotional challenges when it comes to depression, feelings of isolation. Having this pandemic hit made it even more difficult. So it exacerbated those challenges emotionally. But then it also, our girls, 96% of our girls live below the poverty level. That also exacerbated those issues. So at one point, we had just one of our schools had 100 families who had lost their jobs.
Wow.
Our girls have been tremendously impacted. I always say that they have stood in the face of adversity and weathered the storm through this. What we have found is that the schools, if you're looking at LAUSD, their attendance has decreased. when you look at middle and high school, because of just what they're going through. The kids are going through a lot. And then some of them just financially, they have to go out and get a job because someone is sick in the household, or someone has lost their job. And when you think about the population in which we serve, most of their families are those essential workers or those frontline workers. And so they experienced sickness early on, and they don't have health insurance. So we definitely did see a decline. I want to be honest, in the second half of the year of 2020 in our enrollment. And then in 2021, we have been able to serve about 200 girls so far this year in the first quarter of the year. We have been able to go deeper with our girls. We were able to partner with the Buffalo Water Club last year and Tyler Perry's foundation this year.
Great.
The Buffalo Water Club immediately was able to support us in providing emergency relief. In 2021, I was able to partner with Tyler Perry Foundation, who funded our fund completely and 100%. And we have been able to serve 150 families, give them the financial support that they needed to get through this time. So everything from providing food to purchasing PPE to just the basic health needs and pay bills. So, they have been impacted. As an organization, we have been impacted, but I will say that we are blessed that we had donors who supported us and helped us get through that time. Betty was and our board have been amazing in making sure that we had a reserve. So I came into an organization that was healthy. And that's a big deal for a small nonprofit, especially during a big recession. When I came in, I really took the time to look at the organization and say, okay, historically, we have focused on teen dropout prevention and teen pregnancy prevention, which makes complete sense based on what the needs were in the world and also Betty's story, right?
Yeah.
So when I came in November, I said, okay, these numbers are actually low. They are lower than they have been historically. They're not at zero, but they are lower than what they have been historically. So congratulations, right? You hit those goals. And so now where do we go as an organization? I come from a social justice background. I come from a gender and racial justice has been my work in girls in the justice system. And so I came in and said, let's really look at that because that's where we're moving as a world. That's where we need to move as an organization. And so I came in with the goal of breaking generational cycles of poverty. So, but we're keeping the core because the heart of who we are is the social emotional learning. And that's still very important. So yeah, we are youth centric. Our girls is our priority. And then from that, it's really about building systems that will support them, support systems for them. And so that's where we have our mentoring program. Our middle school girls get group mentoring and our high school girls get one-on-one mentoring. And those are all volunteer professional women, amazing professional women. We support and train the teachers of the school on our curriculum. We are also providing emergency support for our families as needed. So yeah, it really is about creating that support system for our girls overall, so that they can not only learn how to navigate the systemic barriers that they face as girls of color in marginalized communities, but also learn how to break those systems down ultimately in a way.
Yeah, it does. It truly speaks the name of your organization. You're empowering these young women from middle school, which is a great age to catch them. How does it work in terms of the curriculum? The teachers are trained on the curriculum and embrace that within their school day? Is it outside of that? How does that work?
So we're in 4 middle schools in Watts, we're in Inglewood, we're in Gardena, and we're in Central as well as South LA. We work with those 4 schools and we serve about 350 girls per school year on average with those schools. And then we have created our own curriculum. Great. It is based in social emotional learning. We train the teachers on facilitating that curriculum. The class is taught during the school day. Great. So they get credit for that class. It is part of their enrichment classes, and it happens once a week. And then once a month, the mentors come into the school and provide mentoring to the girls. And so all of that is continuing to happen virtually in our middle schools. Now, with our high school youth, what we have done is out of school learning. And so they have it on Saturday. and that is our Leaders Academy. So our middle school is our Girls Academy, EmpowHer Girls Academy, and then the high school is our EmpowHer Leaders Academy. And that takes it to the next level. So their work, they're dealing with social emotional learning, but we also explore workforce development with them significantly. That's really what we focus on. Our work has a STEM initiative for both our middle and high school girls. We also have, as I mentioned, we've brought in that social justice work. So all that we do is through a social justice framework now. Mm-hmm. We really are about preparing our girls for college and career readiness. So it really is about preparing them for college and career and exposing them to careers and opportunities where where women and women of color are often underrepresented. Because again, we're talking about breaking generational cycles of poverty, mm-hmm. right? And then on the summertime, we focus on STEM and social justice with both groups. And then our high school girls also do job shadowing and summer jobs.
That's so great. So you have a summer program. It goes really all year long, which is great.
And we get really deep with our high school girls. They have to apply. We take 20 girls a year. We are at capacity right now. And what we've decided is instead of saying, no, we're not going to take more girls, we're just going to open another group. So if there are girls, we're still taking applications, or if there are teen girls that are interested, they have to be between the ages of 14 and 18. Like I said, we get really deep. So they're focusing on health and healthy relationships and self-love. And then they also, like this month, they're focusing on careers. And so with that, we're talking about career readiness and getting their resumes together. But we also talk to them about, and this is where that framework comes in, what it means to be, and this is with all of our work, what does it mean to be a girl of color? And not only a girl of color, but a Black and brown girl from a marginalized community, and do these things and have these experiences. So we talk about microaggression. We talk about that they know what that is from their school experience. And so we talk about how do you navigate that in a professional setting, because it doesn't change, it gets worse. Mm-hmm. We talk about the Crown Act and the fact that may exist in this state, but it's not a national law yet, and how you navigate that. We talk about mansplaining, right? Which every woman has experienced. Mm-hmm. And how do you deal with that? What does it look like to be the first or the one of only brown faces in a room, or female faces in the room? Mm-hmm. So we have those conversations. We bring in professional women who CFOs, CEOs. I mean, we bring in amazing women who tell their stories to the girls. And they talk about that. And we encourage them to make connections now and learn how to network now, so that, again, they're gaining that access, right? And learning those skills. So we take it deep with them. When we talk about financial literacy, they're talking about investing their money and what generational wealth looks like, what your relationship is with money and how you've seen it be spent in your house or treated in your home. So yeah, we go deep with them to get them prepared.
I don't even know where to begin. So one thing I'm hearing is the unification of this group of young women who you build support between them, and then around their own personal trajectory where they can share experiences but have their own individual experience and their own deep dive into how they're going to be in the world. And you're giving them opportunities with role modeling, with mentoring, with examples, with real experience that they get to try out in a safe space. I mean, it's just incredible. And I assume the kids who apply, they can be from the different schools that you have relationships with. So they may come from different environments, or is it always from one school?
Anywhere in LA County.
Yeah, perfect.
So we take anyone for LA in LA County for our high school program. And we are actually, our goal is, so in September of this year, the new school year, we will be introducing 2 new middle schools. So we'll be at 6, and we will be piloting our program in a high school.
You are going to break that cycle of poverty, because you're giving these young students and young women the tools and the belief and the self-esteem and the examples and the role modeling and the continuous mentoring to see it through. And then in turn, my guess is in future generations, they're going to come back and be able to do it for others. So it's just, I can't say enough good things about it. I'm like enamored with it. It's fabulous. Share with me a little bit of the middle school, because to start in middle school is brilliant. Capturing these young women at an early age where self-esteem is already fragile, for all of us who think back during those early years. And so I wonder, how is the curriculum there? What does that look like?
With our middle school girls, we are really looking at, and that program started because when Betty first started, she actually was in the high school doing entrepreneurship work. And what she realized was that we couldn't even get into the heart of that work because there were so many other issues that they were dealing with. And so she realized at that point, we need to pivot, hit them up earlier. And so that's how the middle school program really had started. And the middle school program has been around the longest. And so with our middle school program, it's really about building that self-confidence, growing that, and helping them to deal with all of the emotions that come with being a girl that's going through adolescence and, in middle school, because that's a funky age. I always say, like, literally and figuratively, like, it's just a funky age, right?
Couldn't agree with you more.
Because you get thrust into being a teen. And so that is what middle school is about. We're dealing with those things and helping them process that. And then we also bring in that STEM initiative. So they have activities, milestones that they have to hit.
Great.
So they work on dealing with identifying a community issue and using STEM and technology as a way to address that issue. They get to, be a part of creating like poetry and things of that sort, where they get to sort of tell their stories. So that's what we're doing in the middle schools, once a week, 1 hour per week for 36 weeks.
Wow. What's nice is that it's a natural flow. Once in the middle school that you become adept at feeling success in contributing to your community or thinking about how you're expressing yourself in that very funky, crazy time of people developing at different ages, and you have all these feelings and you don't know what to do with them, and exactly what you said. Then to be able to move that into action, both at the middle school and then further into the high school, and apply it in a career forward thinking way is fabulous. It's really terrific.
And the thing is that I always like to say that the high school program came about because the middle schoolers asked for it. They were finishing middle school and they were like, wait, we don't want to be done. We want to continue. And so that's how the high school program started. And it started once a month. And then I came in and said, hey, let's make it once a week. And at first they were like, I don't know if they're going to come once a week. Our classes are packed.
Yeah,
the girls are showing up. And they're doing their thing. And then those high school seniors, they get scholarships. So what we have found is that 100% of our middle school girls matriculate into high school.
Wow.
And 100% of our high school seniors graduate high school and are admitted into college.
That's fantastic. Those numbers just don't happen any other way without that sort of guidepost. And the fact that they asked in middle school, they didn't want to let go of what taste they had to feel empowered and good about the work that they're doing. And they could see that it was, building up to, and they didn't want to lose that. You created something. People don't want to lose that network and that support system that you've created. In the middle school, is it also application, or is it any student who wants to sign up? It's a class, they get credit. How does that work?
So when we first started with the middle schools, the idea was that they refer the girls. So the idea was that they were referring the girls who were most in danger of not matriculating. Now it has become so popular, and the principals have seen the results that they now require all of their 7th and 8th grade girls to go through the program.
Oh, that's fantastic. Is there any discussion internally, and this may be an unfair question, but because you've had such great results, and the schools that you're connected to love it so much that they're requiring it, to take this even outside of LA?
It's funny that you mentioned that. So I came in with a 5-year plan, right? So,
I love it. Love it.
So the first 3 years is about expanding within LA County. We do have parents who are contacting us all the time and saying, well, how can I get my child in the program? But their child is not in the middle schools in which we work, so we can't serve them. So we are going to be expanding into additional middle schools within LA. Then the goal is to, within a 3-year period, begin to introduce an out of school class for middle schools who are not in those schools.
Oh, wow.
Within 4 years, we're going to introduce the program outside of the county. Great. But within the state of California, and within 5 years, we'll be moving outside of the state.
I love your strategic thinking. I think it's great because clearly you're on to a method and a model that's really effective and impactful. And my guess is, again, as I said before, through generations, you're going to have your graduates coming back in and wanting to help support. So building that alumni that you're doing is only going to help serve all of the young students who are coming up behind, right? It's so great. Can you share any personal aha moments that you've had in working with some of the students, whether middle or high, or anything that comes to mind?
I'll share 2 stories. So one is I had a meeting with a principal recently, and it's time for us to have those meetings. Are we coming back next year? What does this look like? What is the cost of this? Blah, blah, blah. And so in talking with the principal, he said, well, listen, I'm on board with bringing EmpowHer back. As long as I'm here as a principal, this program will be here. And here's why. He said, I have a girl who it's been tough. It's been tough to work with her. And so there's a lot that's happening in her life. She's dealing with housing insecurity, a history of abuse. And she had a day that was a tough day for her. And she went off on the teacher, and the teacher sent her to the principal, and she went off on the principal. And it didn't help that he was a male and she had been dealing with a history of abuse. He said to her, and kudos to this principal, he really took an approach that was all about social emotional learning. And so he said to her, what do you need? Because this can't continue. So what do you need right now to calm down and get into a place where we can have a conversation? What do you need? And she said, I want to talk to my EmpowHer group. So she demanded an EmpowHer session. And so her EmpowHer instructor came, met with her, and they brought in a few of the girls. They had a conversation. She was able to be calm, and then they were able to identify a solution to the situation that they then proposed to the principal. He said the fact that that was what she asked for said to him that no matter what, this program needs to be here because it's clearly impacting the girls and it's effective. That would be my moment of like, okay, I made the right choice, right? Like that was my moment.
It's not only for her to be able to say, this is what I need to make me feel grounded and be able to have a conversation, but the fact that you're in the school and that principal even had the wherewithal to ask the question really, I think, speaks to the culture that you're creating by providing the training and his awareness that this exists. Social emotional learning is not just for the students, but it's for all of the faculty that you're training as well, I would imagine.
They built their own system. Like the girls themselves built a system that she was able to say, this is where I know I can get support, right? And then they came together and worked with her to find a solution, right? To calm her down and find a solution. And so those girls together did that. And that's what this is about. It really is about them. It's about them weathering the storm.
You're really allowing them a modicum of control in lives where often things are not in their control. Things are done to them or about them. And so therefore you're really giving them some of that control back where they get to make decisions, well thought out decisions in a group process. You said you had 2 stories, or did I?
Yeah. So we recently, just last Friday, had our annual Girls to Greatness Team Summit. And this is our first time having it virtually. But we bring 300 girls together with about 100 women volunteers, and we have this all-girl experience all day. And so we did 5 hours online. I was very nervous because it was 5 hours, but It did not feel like 5 hours. It went really quickly. And so they get workshops where they get exposed to careers where they are often underrepresented, mentoring sessions, and then we have performers and a keynote, and it's just this powerful day. And so Lettucey, the R&B singer who just won a Grammy, she was the keynote, and she actually answered questions. The girls asked questions in the chat, and she answered their questions.
Wow.
We have a Rising Stars Award where we acknowledge 3 young women under the age of 25 who have done something impactful in the world. Cassandra Lynn, who did a whole town in Rhode Island who did not have the utilities that were needed. And so she was able to, out of oil, provide them with electricity and when she was a teenager in high school. So these are just, immigration advocate, a representation matters advocate. It was amazing to watch. First Black female coach in the NFL was there. And yeah, so it was crazy. One of the things that happens on that day, our 8th grade girls have the option of presenting their 8th grade projects. And we usually select 2 or 3 finalists and we have them present to the girls. One of the young women who did her presentation, she told a story. Hers was around racism. And she had proposed a social media account that is focused on the history and telling stories, personal stories that would educate. And she told a story about coming from a country in Africa to America and being teased about her dark skin. And she was teased to the point where her parents had to move her to a different school, to a different middle school. And so that's how she ended up in the middle school that EmpowHer was in. Some of the girls who, even at that school, were making comments, learned within that group that was inappropriate, right? And how beautiful all shades of who we are.
Of course. Mm-hmm.
And so she was able to build a sisterhood there, and it changed how she saw herself. So it was just this sort of beautiful moment that she was not only someone who, when she came into the program, was very quiet and would never have, when she first started, have done that presentation. But at that point, she was able to not only do the presentation, but tell her personal story, which was not a requirement, and to do it in front of an audience of, other teen girls from other schools and adults and all these people, of hundreds of people. She told this story, and it was just this beautiful moment to see her grow to a place where she had built the confidence to also examine it and say, I've also done the research around the history of this, and I've written a poem about what's happening in the George Floyd situation and the Ma'Khia Bryant situation, and all of this. She was able to present a solution that would reach out to young people her age using social media to educate.
It's incredible. The level of vulnerability that she showed, combined with courage, real courage, to come from a place of where she had to move schools because it was so horrible, right, horrific, and painful, and to bring it full circle to basically say, I'm surviving and thriving, and by the way, I'm building something that allows others to feel the compassionate towards oneself and then toward others, in the hope that not only do we feel better about ourselves, but that other people build some empathy.
The way that the other girls cheered her on, they in the chat, they just cheered her on. And
I'm getting total goosebumps. Wonderful. And I can't wait in the next, I'm holding you to it, 5 years. It's going to be a national program, because it's, especially with now what we've all suffered through with COVID, we know we can create things online. We know we can do things across the country and across the globe. And so my hope and wish for you all is that this continues to grow and you fulfill the 5-year strategic plan and thinking that you've already started laying the groundwork for. It's really great. Small and Gutsy is sponsored by the Intrinsic Group, my boutique management consulting firm specializing in guiding organizations to leverage talent, optimize processes, and to ensure the organization's narrative is aligned with their culture. We'd love to invite you to be a sponsor. So if you're interested in sponsoring Small and Gutsy to keep it going, please reach out to me at reachus@theintrinsicgroup.com. As you know, toward the end of the podcast, I always ask a round of quick, gutsy questions. And so if you're ready, I'm ready.
I'm going to try my best.
You're going to do great. I have no doubt. You're going to be a rock star. What is at the top of your wish list for EmpowHer Institute, but the answer can't be money or funding?
Right. Which is always at the top.
I know. That's why it's the caveat. We know it's there. It's an easy answer. So we have to make it a little harder of an answer.
It really is about getting the word out about who we are and opening doors that give us access to the right people that will help us grow the organization.
What you're suggesting is what you're wishing for is what you also are training your young girls around, isn't it? It's about networking, it's connections, it's asking for what you need, it's becoming visible in the room of men and white people where you've previously been invisible. If you were to think of a song that describes EmpowHer Institute, what would it be?
I love Beyonce.
I do too.
So it would definitely be Who Runs the World, Girls.
I love it. Okay, we're hashtagging her. We're going to tweet her. We're going to hope that maybe she becomes, interested in providing some support. Wouldn't that be great? What makes EmpowHer Institute gutsy?
We are about boldly breaking ceilings and empowering girls to embrace the power of their voice, breaking generational cycles and engaging in social justice. And I think those things are gutsy moves. We are taking this bold leap to triple our budget in a 3-year period during a recession. And so that, I think, is gutsy in its own. The board took a big leap of faith to hire me and to bring me on to, when I said, look, I'm gonna double this budget, right, in the first year. So I think that's what makes us gutsy. To be honest, to just be a woman in this world is a revolution in its own.
Yeah, and, I love it.
To be a woman of color, specifically a Black or brown girl, especially to be a Black girl in the world, is a form of rebellion. The fact that we are embracing that and we are building a revolution with these incredible women it's gutsy in its own.
Totally gutsy. And I think another piece that's really gutsy is you're literally walking the walk. You say, look, I'm going to make a gutsy move on behalf of this organization because I'm asking all of our young women to be gutsy as well. And so to do that is just a beautiful example of, I'm not just saying you do it, we're doing this together. What is something that outsiders or maybe even some insiders don't know about EmpowHer Institute?
Okay, so this one, I'm actually, I don't even know if I should share this, but so we served 537 girls last year. We did that, and this year our goal is to serve 600. Currently, we have 2 employees, and even at our biggest, we had 3, right? So full-time employees. We work really, really hard, and people think we are much larger than we are, and often have these big expectations of what we can bring to the stage. And then when we show up for the meeting, they're like, "Where's the rest of your team?" Like, you got it. That is one of the biggest reasons why I am looking to grow the organization. We have to build our team. So, I work 80 hours a week. My program director works at least 60. A lot of people just don't know that it's too
what it takes to really do this program.
They don't realize what it takes to do what we do. And trust me, it's a lot of work. We have an intern as well who works with us full time. So, we have 2 full-time employees and an intern. That's what we have right now.
Well, it's so interesting because you sort of fit the idea of small and gutsy. And yet big with impact. And we don't want these organizations to stay small. We want them to grow. Yeah, I get it. We've heard this a lot. It's really an interesting dilemma because you make it looks seamless and beautiful and amazing and huge, and it's really from the hands of very few. And then your volunteers that are probably amazing.
Oh, our volunteers are amazing.
Yeah. If you could get one celebrity or influencer to endorse or talk about EmpowHer Institute, who might that be?
Michelle Obama.
Oh yeah, love her. Mm-hmm.
And Kamala Harris.
Absolutely. I love them both, and we'll hashtag them. You never know. At least maybe you'll get a visit. You never know.
I'll take it.
Any last comments or thoughts that you want to share?
Yeah, I just want people to know how they can get involved and how they can support the organization.
Perfect.
If we are a 501c3 tax deductible, feel free to make a donation on our website at EmpowHer.org. And if you are interested in being a volunteer, we will be looking for volunteers with STEM backgrounds for our summer program, women volunteers with any kind of background who want to serve as mentors to our organization. And you can email us at info@empowher.org, or you can just go on our website and you can find that information.
I just, Dawn, want to thank you for taking time with me today and sharing the depth of EmpowHer Institute, the programming, your goals, your 5-year plan, and all that you've brought to this organization as well. You clearly have passion and commitment and heart. And I just want to thank you for spending time with me.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. It was fun.
Thank you for listening. If you like this podcast, please share it with your friends. Give us some stars and write a review on Apple or wherever you listen to podcasts, or buy us a coffee. buymeacoffee.com/small and gutsy. I want to thank my partners in this endeavor, my co-producer, sound engineer, and composer, the amazing Pavel Franson, my exceptionally talented graphic designer, Nate Addy, my social work intern extraordinaire, Stephanie Tran. Please check out their bios on the Intrinsic website, and all the folks, friends, and family who have guided and inspired me. Our blog of these small and gutsy nonprofits and social impact organizations can be found in the organizational stories section of the Intrinsic Group website, so that we can continue to link clients, volunteers, future employees, investors, and donors to this small but mighty network. Of course, we can't take responsibility outside of our own vetting of the organizations we interview, so before you sign on to support or work for them, we encourage you to do your own due diligence and research them as well. We just want you to learn about the small and gutsy nonprofit and social impact organizational sector so they can spread their story and their impactful work. From small and gutsy to big with impact, I'm Laura Witkoff, and thanks for listening.